Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Roundtable Pod Racers, where we talk Mandalorian. And I'm joined today with Anna and Julie.
Hello.
So
Hello there.
today we're discussing chapter 14, The Tragedy. And let's just get right into it.
I know. It was a tragedy.
Yeah,
It was.
definitely was a tragedy. I'm surprised we got right to Tython. I kind of
Yeah.
thought that there was going to be like a little bit of I don't know, maybe some New Republic ships or maybe something to kind of block him from going there. But nope, right away, hey, here's Tython.
hmm
Very cool little interaction in the beginning, right, with Daddy Mando and
Yeah.
Grogu. You
I
know,
love them so
I
much.
feel like that was such a also like a little was more character development and kind of like him after first of all calling his name and it's like oh so cool
Mhm.
and then him being like you're such a special kid and I'm really gonna have to let you go because you're too powerful. And it just broke my heart because you see now how much Mando cares for Grogu, and it's just heartbreaking. And obviously, it was a little foreshadowed to the end of the episode, but it was just beautifully done. And then after kind of having that little training moment, and then Grogu getting scared, which was such childlike. Like,
Mhm.
when you hear your parent like, oh my God, then it's like, what did I do? So I think that was like a perfect way to start the episode.
I thought so too.
I like Pedro's kind of his like inflection, like I mean his voice acting. It really gave authentic kind of vibes. When you mentioned that he's like chuckling, it reminded me as a new father as well. It's like you find something that connects with the child, right, or the baby. And so then when he was laughing, I was kind of like laughing with him, like yeah, I feel you, like I get it, like you got him, like there's something there that you can connect to with him. But I'm curious, what did you guys think about when he said Dank Ferrick? What did you guys kind of take from that?
For me, as a Latina, I've related to like your like my parents are because like I come from a family that we have like what is that thing in English like um not pirate mouth I forgot
Potty
the
mouth?
word.
Potty mouth?
No, but there was another word. But like I felt like that moment for me, it was like when something cool, and I'm like, oh puta madre. Like for me, that was like that, like and I that's how I felt, and it's like he's seen like his power and kind of like that excitement. I feel like that was such a Latina household for me. Like I don't know about you guys.
I kind of I think it could have been one of two ways. It could have been what Anna said, that he was like excited, so he was like hell yeah kind of thing. Or it could have been the whole, he was really hoping that his powers were dwindling. So when he said it, he was kind of like, oh darn, because he wants Baby Yoda's or Grogu's powers to not really exist anymore. That way he can keep his boy, his child. But now he's kind of like, oh well, I have to give him to the Jedi now, because he either has to figure this out for himself or like reject it, but there's no way that it's just gonna like die on its own.
Yeah, I definitely got the second option that you were saying, Julie. Like he's saying it because like as a bad curse word, not like a
Right.
not like a yes,
Like,
Not
yeah.
like
like
a
a
happy
yes,
curse word,
It's
like
like, oh, not yeah.
like f yeah, f yeah. But so yeah, and that's a good point that I think he said that because he kind of was hoping that it was just like a one-time thing, maybe Ahsoka brought it out of him,
Mhm.
and yeah, like like you said already, that his powers may be dwindling. So it's like yeah, he has to now. It gives him no choice. I mean, he says, "You're too powerful for me to train you."
Mhm.
So this is kind of like Yep, I guess I am gonna have to go through with this. And he even says it to Grogu. He says, if the Jedi want, and so then, yeah, it was a very nice opening interaction between
Mhm.
them two. Very,
I lost
very,
you guys
yeah.
for 1 second. When you said the Jedi.
Yeah. So basically, the Jedi, he's giving him a heads up. He's like, if the Jedi's gonna want you, you gotta go with the Jedi. Like that's a part
Yeah.
of the deal, okay? Like, and just the way he was talking, and it's like, it was very authentic. It really
Hmm.
sold me. It really sold me. So kudos to Pedro
Yeah.
on that.
Oh yeah, he's doing
Like
an
he's fighting
amazing
with
job.
himself.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. I think so too. Like he wants to keep him, but he knows that he probably can't. Like he has to do this.
Right, right. So they arrive on the planet, and a little bit different than what we've seen. I mean, first of all, I just love the fact that Tython itself is canon now.
Hmm.
I mean, it is a Jedi, origin world, if you will. Um, but I gotta say, I'm a little bit disappointed that there wasn't like maybe like a temple or something a little bit more than what we got. What we got was awesome, and I'll get to that in a second. But I was hoping for a little bit more.
Hmm.
Me being
I
a Jedi and all.
but to
Yeah,
be
go for it.
honest, I think it's because he was alone. So I kept thinking, okay, this somehow has to open as many Jedi temples that we've seen in the past, especially Rebels, right? When we get to Lothal, which is one of my favorite Jedi temples, it's just the pillar, like one of the other rocks that is in Lothal. But Kanan tells Ezra, like, it takes two to open. Or even when we see with Maul. So I think that we didn't see the entirety of the Jedi temple there. Like I felt like he wasn't as he was alone and he wasn't as strong enough to open, so he just like semi-open part of a window if we say it like that, because I don't think we saw the whole thing, because I kept thinking the same thing. I'm like, okay, so this is gonna open, because how the stones were, it looked like a perfect kind of portal to like kind of go open like a flower.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's what I thought. Maybe he's alone, they need two, because all the Jedi temples you need two people to open it, so we didn't see the whole thing.
I could see that because also the Mando wouldn't know like how to, he wouldn't even know to expect a door, whereas most Jedi would know where the door is and how to unlock it. So I totally understand where you're coming from, Alexis, because I know how excited you were for all of it. So I was like, oh man, he's gonna want more. But at the same time, it's like I get it, I
Yeah.
guess. Like
Yeah.
I would have liked to see maybe more like maybe more architecture,
Hmm.
but not go in, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, for sure. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't disappointed with the kind of Jedi or the kind of Force side of it,
Hmm.
because as we saw, Grogu, opens up the portal,
Right.
and that is really, I mean, if you're gonna have anything that is gonna be a part of the Jedi, you might as well have the truest form of that religion, which is the actual proof of the higher power or of the religion. Um, so I was content. I was definitely content. I mean, I just coming from someone who's played the Star Wars Old Republic, and then kind of being invested in kind of that a little bit. I kind of hoped there was a little bit more, but it definitely did uh, justice. All the lightsiders will definitely appreciate what
Hmm.
this episode gave us in that.
I really liked the blue butterflies. I thought that was a
Hmm.
very nice touch. I see it in fan art all the time, like when it's regarding the Force. So I thought that was really cool that it's like it was there.
Um,
Yeah,
so
especially
that
regarding Ben Solo.
Yeah, that's what I thought of. I was like, my heart.
uh, when I saw, so okay, so when Din actually puts Grogu on the stone, the second he puts him on there, the butterflies start appearing. They don't really
Mm-hmm.
concentrate on it until like he's like, touching it or trying to play with it. But as soon as he puts him down, if you look behind Din, you already see a little butterfly in the back kind of
Yep.
coming into screen. And those butterfly, we've actually seen them before in the Star Wars universe. You guys mentioned Ben Solo, but I thought Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith, number 8. It's a comic series that was
Mm-hmm.
ongoing, and in that comic, Vader kind of goes like into really, really deep meditation, and he sees himself. It basically shows how he sees himself, which is like a demon, no features. um, and it kind of shows him floating in the air, really cool visuals. But in that, you see a whole bunch of little small blue butterflies. And in that particular comic, it was basically representing the light that was
Mm-hmm.
still in him, in Vader. So it was really cool to see that kind of connective tissue with this other media.
That is really cool. And I did have a thought right now. Do you guys think that Din saw the butterflies, or was it just Grogu? I didn't think about it during the episode, but now that I'm like thinking back on it, I don't know if Din reacted to them, whereas we know Grogu did. And maybe they are like a force sentient being.
I don't think so, only because I mean, Mando's background. He doesn't know about the Force.
Mm-hmm.
He's not in tune with like the higher power, or like something like that. Like he was like looking right away, he was thinking more practical, like mechanical, like, oh, there must be a switch on here. He
Yeah.
puts on the visor, he looks for like some clues or something, so that's where his head was at. So I don't think that I don't think that it really matters if he saw it or not, because of what he eventually sees, with
Well,
the
yeah.
the force field. But that's an interesting thought. That is an interesting kind of question, like if he saw it or not. But I'm
Yeah,
like
I don't think it would
on it.
affect anything, but just a cool idea, I
Yeah, no,
guess.
for sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
It was cute because maybe it's something, even though we know people see Mariah,
Mm-hmm.
she's like represents that light between Vader and Ahsoka and the daughter.
Right.
So I thought about something like that as well, and I don't think Mando was paying attention to it. He was also kind of like, hey, where's this? Then you see a ship, and then you're like, okay, there's so much going on, because he doesn't even like realize that Grogu is trying to like be there. Like, I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
So it was just like everything happening so fast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It really was. This episode was very fast paced.
And so then, as Anna mentioned, we see the Slave One enter the atmosphere, and as soon as I saw it, I'm like, "Yep, okay, here we go, Bubba
Mm-hmm. I
and
was
Din
very
showdown."
surprised. The moment I saw the ship, I knew too that I was like, oh my God. I wasn't expecting to see the slave one. For whatever reason, I was like, what? Why would he have that still? I'm very confused. But I was very surprised that Boba was the one who came out of like everybody. It was like, okay, sure.
Yeah, and that he got there before the Empire. So I'm like, okay, how close were you to Mando this whole time?
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many things in my head, but seeing Slave One was so beautiful, especially because we are so used to seeing such darker episodes in the past, and then this episode, it's so light, it's so bright, like you see everything.
Yeah.
That I'm even thinking, like, how are you guys filming this in the volume? Or because it looks like an actual location. So it was pretty cool.
I actually have a comment on that, especially like the sun in this episode. There was a couple of kind of shots where, particularly you see it when the stormtroopers are exiting the transport, and it kind of goes like from like to behind them, like the camera switches to behind them. You see like this uh, lens flare, but it's all around the screen, and oh man, it kind of distracted me a little bit because I was like, wait, what? Like, what is that? And it actually appeared a couple more times. So I don't know if you guys caught that, but I'm like, Yeah, there's definitely not too much CGI here going on. Like they're really outside and it's like super bright.
Oh, I did not catch that at all.
I didn't
No?
either, but I
Next
know.
time you watch it, see it. When
Yeah, now I'm
stormtroopers
gonna
come
pay
out,
attention.
it's like I was like really distracting. I was like, whoa, they forgot to put because I'm not a cinematographer or anything, but I don't they have like things that cover the camera like so that so that lens flare doesn't happen.
A
And it
lot of
happened a couple
times
times.
a lot of times do sun flares like on purpose,
Yeah,
and maybe it was like a shout out to JJ and
yeah,
his work on Star Wars.
yeah.
It could be.
Who knows?
Yeah.
um
But so yeah, so Slave One arrives, and then as soon as Din turns around, Grogu's already in like his force field and doing his force Skype call or whatever it was he was actually doing.
Mhm.
Um, but
I am
yeah,
really curious what was going on with Grogu in that time, and I don't know if we're gonna find out. Like, we'll find out
me
if somebody
neither.
comes along, but I want the
It
visual.
I know. It reminded me like, are we gonna see the world between worlds? Like what is it? Because that's kind of how you see it, obviously in the dark. But it's starting with that light, and I was just like, it looks so pretty, and the sound between it, and seeing how fast the light was beaming was also
Yeah.
pretty cool.
And
Because
also,
yes, also him like with his meditating pose, it was so cool.
I loved that.
And seeing how strong it was, because Mando, first thing, Daddy's call, like, hey, Slave One, you're in danger, let me go get you. And it's like, first, like, it's a gravitational pull, and then shoots him out. So I'm like, oh my god, how strong is that thing? That was pretty cool.
That was.
And the sound effect too of like hearing Mando's voice from like Grogu's perspective was really cool. It was like I don't know if you guys like as a kid would like talk into like a spinning fan
Oh yeah.
and it'll do like the
Yes.
yo. So it was like it was a cool sound effect and I was really digging it. I was really appreciating the little kind of details there. Did you guys see that there was an actual figure next to Grogu in the shot when Mando is going down, like he says, oh, like snap out of it, kid, or hurry up, kid, I'll buy you time, or whatever he says, and then he goes down. That wide shot, if you zoom in somehow on the actual altar where Grogu is, you see another figure. You see like the head and the shoulders of a figure kind of standing there with him.
Oh, that sounds creepy as hell.
Creepy.
Also,
That just like gave me the chills.
Yeah, I'm like,
it's creepy. I mean, it's way too far away, but you definitely see like someone's like a head and a shoulder. Maybe it was something done on accident. Maybe it was like another jeans guy moment or something. But it was in there, and so then there's speculation that could have been
the Jedi.
Who I think honestly, I think Luke's the best case, but I mean that's definitely speculation on my part. But it was really cool. So next time you guys see it, pay attention to that part.
Yeah,
I like the idea.
Watch the whole episode again with all of this.
I like the idea you brought up last time, and it's made me think a lot more. That maybe you said Cal Kestis could be relating, and I think maybe you're right. Like Cal / Sarah, was that her name? Like Sarah?
His master or whatever.
Yeah, his like new master.
I know it's like Sarah something.
Yeah, like CERE, but
Seer, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Seer, yeah. I think maybe you might be onto something because at the end of, is this a spoiler? I don't know. Anna, have you finished the game, or do you care?
So spoilers for Fallen Order.
Yeah, spoilers for Fallen Order.
I just finished replaying Battlefront, but it's okay. Like I've seen already so many things that it's not even like.
Okay,
Yeah.
at the end of the game, they go to like find younglings, and obviously it doesn't add with the timeline of like them finding Baby Yoda or anything at that time. But maybe she's the one who got him out originally, possibly, and so maybe they will bring those two characters back because those two people look the same way that they do in real life as they do in the game,
Yep.
and maybe that was done intentionally.
Hmm.
So
So you're saying that maybe it could be Cal or Seer.
yeah,
Right?
or both, because I think they stayed together at the end, which perfectly
Mm-hmm.
fits in with my shirt for this week. So
Oh.
yeah,
Yeah. Shout out to the BD1.
I love
Right?
him. He's my favorite. So that's the I've been kind of like mulling that over, and now I'm thinking that maybe that's like more and more likely.
Yeah, definitely possible. I mean, like you said,
Possible,
I
not
mean,
likely. Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely possible. I don't think it's likely. And I mean, it's just, Luke would fit so much. Like, he'd
I
just be
know.
so well. Like, I don't now the chances with the news that we're getting an Ahsoka show. I don't think that Ezra is gonna be in here. Like, I think they're
Mm-mm.
gonna really tie into what Ezra is gonna be doing or has done in that series.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, just it kind of narrows down to really Luke for me. Um,
I
you
just
know,
feel like they won't go that direction because the fans won't like it, and also his age is just such a factor.
yeah,
So I just feel
Yeah.
like they're gonna keep the Skywalkers away because I feel like a lot of fans would be really pissed if they tied in the Skywalker stuff to the Mandalorian.
yeah,
And
yeah. And I kind of feel like
it'll
that a
be
little
too
bit too.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, like not everything needs to be about them.
Mm-hmm.
As much
Yep.
as I love them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, with everything that happened with the new sequel, I think kind of bringing and taking that risk with Luke is highly unlikely,
Yeah.
especially with all the CGI that they would have to do to make him look young, and it wouldn't be the same, or recast him. And who can we recast with
Mm-hmm.
Luke Skywalker or Mark Hamill? So I don't know. I think that's a little bit riskier and harder for them to do.
Maybe
Yeah.
it could be like Luke's school and we just never see Luke. He's just like a headless figure the entire time, like, hello.
Mm.
But and like he has like another like Jedi student like Kyle Katarn maybe kind of thing. And but it's like under Luke still, but I don't know. I feel like that would be a stretch too.
Yeah, it wouldn't really tie in because Luke's temple is much much later on, like 20 years later. So.
Exactly, yeah.
Anyways, so speaking of people that are not like Luke Skywalker,
Yeah.
get Boba, which was really cool.
Yeah. And Fennec, she just appears and she's like, you thought I was dead.
Yeah, yep. No, I got a cybernetic belly.
Abs of steel, bro.
Yeah.
It's abs of steel. I was like, oh, you're such a badass right now.
really
I love
is.
their first interaction. I love that Boba is like, I've been following him. First of all, his voice, I can like go to sleep listening to him telling stories. Like, I love his voice. And it was cool because I was reading his interview, Tamara Morrison, with New York Times about like coming back and portraying Boba Fett. And I don't know if you guys know, but he's from New Zealand and he's like a native in New Zealand. And he was saying that he wanted to bring that native culture with the Boba Fett character in some way. And how he did it was like, he was saying that he brought it in with the fighting and kind of like the stance and the dances, because that's from his indigenous people, and bringing that spirit and energy that's called, and I don't want to mess it up, it's called Wairua, trained in my cultural dance, which we call the Haka. So
Ooh.
I love that they did that. I love that they
that.
brought some of his personality. I think he fit right with the whole thing that's we're probably gonna talk about now. So I just wanted to say that because I thought that was pretty cool.
I do have to say, and might get hate for this. I have never been a Boba fan. I've always kind of been one of those people who are like, why do people like him? He literally is there and then dies. Well, I don't get it. But with this, I now really like Boba, and I feel like his character has been redeemed for me. And yeah, so I think that is a really cool aspect. Maybe that's why I like him more. He has a personality now, and I really respect that.
So I'm the opposite. So you see, I remember watching him for the first time in the prequels, and I was like, that guy looks so cool. His armor is like nothing I've seen. And you guys know Vader is one of my favorite characters, and I love like costumes. And I was like, oh man, he died, like, so sad. And when I met with my husband, he always loved Boba Fett. So every time I would go to conventions, you guys can't see it, but like, there's my Boba Fett stuff. It's all of there. Like, I have a bunch of Boba Fett because I was like, I love it. I wish he would come out like in more stuff, but you know, he can't.
Yeah.
And now seeing him and kind of also seeing like a cooler side or like a badass side of Boba Fett made my life of like wanting this character from only seeing him for 2 minutes. So I'm like, I want him to be Rex in Ahsoka. So like it just made my heart very happy.
Yeah, that's kind of like yeah. So I relate to that too, because I knew in the expanded universe he was alive and he did some really, really cool things, and I wanted that for him, but then he just stayed dead because obviously expanded universe was destroyed. And so I'm happy with the change. I really like him now.
For me, what I liked is that they really in giving him a little bit more personality, they gave him like a sense of pride, like a sense of history. You know, with him talking about the singular best line for me in this episode was, you know, I'm a simple man trying to make my way in the universe like my father before me. Just with that line, you're doing a couple of things. You're giving him like something, like some type of personality, and then you're connecting the prequels. You're paying homage to the prequels and the original trilogy just with that one line. So when he said, I was like, oh yeah, this is my line from this episode. It's my favorite line. So
it was a very good line.
Yeah, you know, I don't pledge my allegiance to anyone, and it's just, you know, it was kind of funny seeing Din try to gatekeep like on the Mandalorian armor. It's like, no, bro, you
like not this time.
Not this one. Just you know, just fall back on this one. Yeah, and then you know, Fennec, you know, being saved by Boba, it gave me, you know, like a Han and Chewie, like life debt, like a life debt. So it's really cool to see that, and you know, honor among thieves and honor among mercs type deal. So yeah, Boba really kind of good guy Boba, you know, not for the stormtroopers, but for the team. Yeah, you know,
which I really like too, because in the original trilogy he's like a bad guy, right? Like we don't get to see that whole like sense of pride and like an honor code that we know he has, because he's, you know, a foundling Mandalorian and a bounty hunter, but we kind of just saw him like do whatever, be a bad guy, take Han Solo, just like all these like messed up things that we were like, oh darn, why is he doing all this? And now we know he has an honor code. We know that he like respects life debts and all this stuff. So I was like, I like you a lot.
Yeah, very cool. And so then not far behind, we have dun dun dun, the Empire has arrived. And you know, that's when things really start to kick up. Funny part for me here was, right, so Bubba asks Din to take off the jetpack, and he puts it on the ground. My thing is, why didn't he just pick up the jetpack as soon as Boba and Fennec went to grab their pieces? Like, all right, it's game time. Like, get your jetpack. He's like, no, let me do it the hard way and run back up.
I was like,
it
he's
was
gonna
such
get
a
it.
daddy moment. It was
Yeah.
so like, my
was
kid is in
panicking.
danger. I don't think
Yeah.
clearly.
Yeah,
Obviously, it's a little obviously for what we need later on in the episode. But yeah, I thought the same. I'm like, damn it, something's gonna happen and he's gonna lose that jetpack because they made it so obvious. Like he does not have the jetpack.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
crazy.
It was rough, but and then he runs all the way up that grueling uphill battle, and then all that.
He took all his steps of the day. He finished all his little circles
Yeah,
in his watch.
I hit 10K.
Right. Oh my goodness, that was. But then when it came to the fighting, that was just brutal. Seeing Boba Fett fight like that was just like, let me take a step back and watch this, because that was intense. His face, like obviously we know now that it's based off his native dance, which made it even cooler because it's a more than fighting, it's a choreography, which the three of us love. So seeing him also with that gaffi stick and like that he took, I guess, from the Tusken Raiders, it was awesome seeing those stormtroopers get their armor like destroyed. It just did not last. It was just brutal. It was just like we went dark for like I was all for it.
The one that got me was when he like backhands with the stick in stormtrooper's like face, and you hear the cracking of the helmet and you see it, but then you just have to, it makes you wonder, like, how does the face look after that? Like it didn't show it, but it implied it, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, it was definitely very visceral. Like it was like visceral. But yeah, one thing I was gonna say is that I definitely don't see gaffy sticks the same way anymore. They can be used to clean bantha teeth. They can bash in stormtrooper helmets. It does it all. You can scare people with it. So that, I mean, yeah, it was just action packed, and as Anna was saying, Tamura taking from his Mari background, yeah, it's just awesome. I mean, it's just it gives it like a sense of just danger and brutality. And I mean, who doesn't love seeing stormtroopers just fall by the dozens?
Yeah. And then Fennec,
very cool.
And then Fennec was equally as brutal, even though she was like shooting. It was still like, she is damn good with that thing.
Yeah, she does not miss at all, and she's so good, especially because there was points that she was hitting like the neck. I love those shots. Like it was like, well, I know you have the armor, it's not the best, but like I'm just gonna hit you and you die. I thought that was so impressive. She's so badass. I love what she's wearing. We'll get to that, but it was crazy, and I loved the scene where we go back to Boba Fett and he suddenly looks around and sees his armor there. Like it was
like, oh, now it's game time.
For me,
so cool.
For me at that point, I thought Boba was just gonna like I thought it was gonna be it. Like I thought he was just gonna get his armor. He was gonna finish off the rest of the stormtroopers, and then just be like, okay, I got my armor, and that's it. But what I appreciated, what we see later on, that he's honoring the deal, even though technically Mando didn't agree to the deal. It was kind of like by a circumstance, like, we're about to get overrun, like, all right, let's just do whatever deal, like, it's not my armor anyway, whatever, like, let's just do it. So it was just kind of funny that Boba held up his end of a deal that really wasn't agreed upon. But it was very cool to see Boba, stick around and help clean up shop after.
That's what I really respect.
Yeah, and the way he wore his armor under his black robes was just making it cooler. I was
Yeah.
like, man, you kept me like cooler Boba Fett.
Yeah.
I loved it. And then, Mando's still trying to get to the baby. There's no chance. So he goes down because there's more people coming.
Right.
And him fighting alongside Fennec was really cool. Because she was like, well, okay, let's kind of work together.
When she kicked that rock down, that was so cool because I was like, oh damn,
yeah,
got a
cool.
lot of them.
Yeah.
Abs of steel.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't do that unless you had those abs of steel. I'm like, that girl worked at it. Like,
I got immediate Raiders of the Lost Ark vibes with that. You're running with a boulder behind you, just taking out. And that stormtrooper on the E-Web turret. It's like, come on, bro. Like, just get out the way. Come on. Like, what are you doing? You're not gonna, it's a rolling giant boulder. You're not gonna smash it with a machine gun.
Yeah. And everybody was like commenting on like that Boba got a little hefty.
Oh yeah.
But I think it looks so much cooler because like, I mean, especially compared to Cobb Vanth's like skinny Boba, it's like this one looks like strong and powerful. Like he looks like he'll freaking crush your skull. Yeah.
We got all the Bobas in this series. we got the not Boba, the skinny Boba, and then the old school fat Boba.
Yep.
But it just
it's
gives,
not fat.
Yeah.
It's like big, like manly.
He has a belly.
I don't think.
He has a belly.
But it's not like, like it's more like he's been through so much and it makes him manlier than like there's obviously people that were hating on his fat. I'm like, he's not fat. He's like big bones. I'm just like,
it reminds me of like
so cool.
Of like Maui from Moana, like like the bigger style,
right?
Yeah.
Like
you got a little belly, but it's all like tough.
And all that just like lends to the fact, like it just gives more weight to the fact that Temuri like killed it. Like he was kind of out of shape. He's an older guy in his 60s. The armor didn't fit him like at all. Like it only like went up to here.
Crop top.
And despite all that, like it was probably the best we've ever seen of the character. So like definitely kudos to them. I mean, they nailed it.
Yeah.
So
it's so cool.
So what else do we have? What did we skip over something?
No, we just have the most terrifying moment happen next because we know the Empire is like bringing up more force, and then we see Moff Gideon like knowing that they have direct location, and then if 2020 wasn't enough, they just destroy the Razor Crest. Like,
Razor Crest.
I was like, oh. This whole season,
I didn't see it coming.
Yeah, this whole season, it's been foreshadowing it. It's been getting beat up and then fixed and then beat up again. And every minute, it's like, okay, is this the final day? But this time, there's really no going back.
Yeah, for sure.
Rest in peace.
I cried. It's like, obviously, we don't see Mando's face, but we see it. Like, you feel it. It was so heartbreaking seeing his shock, like, my baby. So it was crazy.
He lost 2 babies that day.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. Maybe that was a tragedy.
Oh.
That's what I kept saying. I'm like, what would this, the whole tragedy of the stormtroopers, of like the Razor Crest, then after, but afterwards we see kind of what we wanted to see this whole time, which were the Dark Troopers, and they look badass. They look like the ones we kind of see in Rebels, and they were just so crazy. What did you guys think?
I liked the song, like not the song, the music that was behind
Hmm.
them. Like it was like very like foreboding. It was almost like a very doom and gloom, like very industrial, like yeah, this is going wrong. This is
Hmm.
going wrong right fast. So their design was really cool to see them actually like in kind of action.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, I'm surprised we didn't get like some type of resistance like from the crew. I'm surprised, there wasn't maybe like only one of them like took Grogu, and then the rest of the three maybe tried to kill Mando or the crew or something. I'm looking forward to when we actually see them in action, which it looks like we may soon.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that moment it was just like, no, no, he's still
Yeah.
asleep. Like as soon as Mando turned around, like the beef earlier, like the force field went away, and Grogu's just
Groom
there,
took a nap.
completely exposed. Yeah, he took a nap, and it's like, no, no, wake up. I was hoping for some like force push, like,
Me
like
too.
something, but
Hmm.
nope, they just went whoop, yeet.
And it makes you feel so much worse because of the fact that he was sleeping and he looked so freaking cute and his ears were all floppy.
Yeah.
And then it's just like Mando saw it. He
Mm-hmm.
saw it all happen and he couldn't
Mm-hmm.
do anything about it.
Yep.
That
Yep.
was
And
the
that was the
worst.
most crushing,
Hmm.
like, that's, I have no words. That was the worst thing that has happened to Mando since the show started, you
Yeah.
know?
Tragic.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was like tragic. I was crying at that moment. I was like, oh my god, I couldn't see his face, but I just wanted like to hug him because I know he was crying underneath like Rex in season 7. So it was awful.
It
It was
was.
awful.
Yeah.
And then what made it worse was like, so like when Boba was up there fighting his battle and he was gonna go try to save the kid, but then he was like, no, 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 I don't want the kid to be hurt. I thought that was really a cool touch that he listened to Fennec and like Fennec also listened to Mando, that they were so like willing to like help and do as much as they can. I thought that was a really nice touch, but also it's like we're watching them get away. Like
Mm.
you could
Yeah.
stop them, but
Right.
it was heartbreaking.
Yeah, you don't want to hurt the baby.
Yeah.
Don't want to hurt the
Yeah,
baby.
and seeing Boba Fett's reaction to the Empire for me was also like interesting. Like he was immediately scared, you know? Like he was like, "Oh no, 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 no. Like he's screwed." But
Yeah.
Yeah.
then also like fighting it and kind of trying to do something until they told him to stop. I think that was a cool touch for us to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of seeing Slave One in action. And obviously we'll get to it in the next episode. But I thought that was like a nice touch. And then we see Moff Gideon being as happy as ever. I think he's one of my favorite actors,
I
Giancarlo
love him. Oh
Esposito.
my god, I'm
Uh,
rewatching Breaking Bad, and we just got to the scene, and so I'm just
Mm.
like, God, I love this character. He is my favorite, and yeah, so I love that he is Moff Gideon. So freaking
Hector.
much.
yeah. um, so they acquire the asset, and then we see little baby Yoda child Grogu kind of using a little bit of his power, because we know obviously
A
he was
little bit.
tired from using the portal, but then it's so funny, it becomes to like a little, you were just crying, come on, laugh a little bit.
Yeah,
He's like force pushing the stormtroopers and choking them and being
and
so pissed, and his little face was so cute.
and you could tell that he's been doing it for like a few minutes now. Like he walks in, and it's like, there's two on the floor already, and he's already beating the other ones up. But the fact that he force chokes them is like, oof, give in to the dark side.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was very cool to see him doing that. It's like he's embracing the dark side. I
I almost
mean,
thought we were
he's
gonna see some electricity right there.
uh,
Like,
something, maybe a snapping of a neck or something. But yeah, it was very just like wow, whoa, like we know Grogu was powerful, but to see him doing it like that, like You know, it's kind of like a fight or flight. You know,
Yeah, definitely.
so
Hmm.
it was cool to see that, and then
He was
Moff,
throwing them.
yeah, and Moff Gideon, it was just that the villain that he is, he was just like kind of relishing
Enjoying.
it, and he was enjoying it. He was like, oh, so this is what he's capable of, and maybe much more.
He was so
And,
smug that he knew that like he went in perfectly timed to know that Baby Yoda was gonna pass out,
right,
and so
right,
he was
Yeah.
like, "Can't touch me."
yeah. It's like, oh, you're getting
It
sneaky.
gave me some Thrawn vibes,
Yes, he gives me
a
a
little
lot
bit.
of Thrawn vibes.
Yeah, like you were like his, Paul or
Mm-hmm.
something, because like Moff Gideon is that Empire villain that really loves to know his enemy and kind of studies them, and we see it a lot with Grogu and Mando. So I thought that was like that whole scene gave me so much Thrawn vibes, like kind of annoying and telling him like, don't stop not caring for his people, very Empire. And then after it's like showing him that dark saber, which by the way, it looks so beautiful.
I
Yeah,
love
That
it.
thing lit up like, oh my god, I
that
can't
looked
believe we
awesome.
get to see it in real life.
Yeah,
I
It
know.
was cool, and Grogu kind of still fighting it, even though he's so like done, but he's
He's
still
so tired.
trying. And I feel like he also trying to remember, like, not again, I'm here again, like, come on,
yeah,
I
Mm-hmm.
escaped this.
yeah. I liked Gideon's line where he's like, "Oh, remember this?" Or "Does this look familiar from days past?" I don't know the exact quote, but it's like, "Oh, so Gideon knows about Grogu's past." That's what I got right away. That he knows that he was a Jedi at one point, and
Did he say
you
that when he pulled out the dark saber?
yeah,
Okay.
he says something like, "Oh, does this look familiar from days past, perhaps?" You know, so it's like, oh, okay, so he knows. He knows about how he knows is a whole nother conversation, but
Mm-hmm.
he knows about Grogu's past. So
Okay. Yeah, it's either he was using it to kind of torture Baby Yoda, Grogu, or maybe he found Grogu along with how he found the dark saber, maybe something like that.
mm, I'm not so sure about that. I
I
don't think.
think he mentioned it more like lightsabers, like, do you,
Okay,
or I got
or that.
something I got, but also I don't know where he was, that maybe he saw the dark saber in action,
That's
you
what I
know.
meant more. Like maybe he was on
Okay.
Mandalore for whatever reason,
Um,
hiding.
no, I honestly I don't think it's that kind of that route. I think it's just he just knows that that's a lightsaber.
Okay,
That's what I
I
got too.
think I think that
Like,
it was just that he was just like maybe trying to reach for it to try to get it, like,
that's what I thought when I saw him. Like,
yeah, reaching out to like to get it to use it. Um,
yeah, like if he had his own lightsaber in the past, and it's like, oh, do you remember using one of these?
right,
that could be it.
right, right.
Or at
So
least like familiar with his like training. Like, everybody has a lightsaber around there.
yeah. So but and then and then baby gets put to bedtime, right? He gets set gets shot with a stun gun, and it's funny because like I see people's reactions online, and it's like people are like, oh no, like poor baby poor Grogu, but it's like, no, he just got put to bed. He was just being a bad boy, and he got put to bed by daddy, Gideon, bow bow, so to not create a mess, no more mess, that's it,
Mhm.
bedtime now. So I'm glad that I was really kind of scared for a second, like it really did affect me, like I'm like, oh man, they're poor baby, poor Grogu, like what's gonna happen, like don't hurt him, like, you know
Yeah.
but of course not, you can't hurt Grogu.
I
No.
think it was also really cool to see the stun gun because it was like it reminded me of A New Hope with
Yeah.
Leia, and even like the fact that he was in the cell and everything like that. I thought back to it and I was like,
Oh, that's a good
this is
point
rough.
too. Yeah, that's a good point. I
Definitely.
actually didn't think about that until you mentioned it. That's right. Yeah, and the interrogation scene in A New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
Um, But one thing that we kind of skipped over was I liked how it was a nice little touch to have Mando find the throttle knob and the Beskar pike or spear
Yeah.
in the wreckage. It was very like symbolic, right? Like the throttles knob is obviously of Grogu, like saying, you know, like he's like there's still hope, like he's gonna come back to me type of deal. And then with the spear, it was like, okay, and then this is what I'm gonna use to make that happen. uh, which I just love it because we do lightsaber choreography and combat and stuff like that. So like it's like this is my sword. There's many swords like it, but this one is mine. Like I really connected when he got this the spear, was just like kind of looking it up and down. It's like, all right, you know what to do. Like revenge. Like you got to get your baby back. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was just like,
Yeah,
yes.
it was kind of like a touch, like even though you lost this that you thought was you, no, that's still you.
Mhm.
Beskar, that medal, that's still you, and you still have the fight. The fight is not your ship or what's around you, it's you yourself. For me, I saw it the same way. It was very symbolic
Mhm.
because it was like kind of seeing all the ashes and everything, and having Grogu left, and he had like no hope, and it's like, here's your hope.
Mhm.
Here's your hope. It was very beautiful. It was, and the music in that scene was very beautiful.
Mhm.
It's also kind of like, you know, the Beskar can't be defeated. It can't be destroyed with even that intense explosion. So it's kind of like, it's not defeated.
Right.
I'm not defeated.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Boba just kind of looking on, like, dude, such good acting, man. Just like with little looks, like he was looking at him like he was feeling for him. He's like, yeah, I've been there. You know, I've lost, and I've loved or whatever. You know, so and then that part actually is one of my favorite parts as well. Where he says, I want you to look at something, and he shows him the chain code of his armor. Yeah, beep 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 beep. I'm waiting for the cosplay community to like make that happen already. Like, you know, that's gonna be soon, I'm sure. But yeah, you know, and then showing Mandoa, you know, in text form. I don't think we've gotten any like text like that before. We have. We have?
And some like Mando stuff, but like nothing canon.
Yeah, nothing
Just
like kind of
because
on the
I was obsessed
forefront.
with Boba Fett. Yeah, no,
Ah,
nothing in the
okay.
canon.
Yeah, and that was really cool. And then it was people ended up translating it to, you know, Jango Fett, born on or Concord Dawn. And it also says that he was
Foundling.
Jaster, yeah, Foundling, but Jaster was his mentor, which now canonizes the legend's explanation or origin story of Django. You know, Jaster Muriel was a true Mandalorian who ended up saving Jango Fett. The Death Watch attacked Jango's father's farm, which is where you get the little wheat, the
Yeah,
little
the little
grain.
thing that he has on his chest.
Yeah, the Fett, I guess, clan. It's and that grain is because they were always farmers. They were, you know, agricultural, you know,
The actual Fets.
background. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So but yeah, so it was really cool to see that actually like canonized, like, you know, and then, you know, and then that. So I'm actually interested in what you guys think, because when I saw it first, and when Din says, you know, your father was a foundling, to me it seemed like he already knew who Django was, and he's like, yeah, oh yeah, I knew who your father was. He was a foundling. But with the text, it makes me think that he was just reading it, because Boba does say, let me show you something. So what do you guys think? Did he know Django before, or you think he just kind of found out through Boba just now?
I think he found out through Boba just now, because originally I wanted to think that the Mandalorians knew Jango and Boba just because of the whole like we know Jango and Boba. But when he kind of like said his name earlier in the episode when he was trying to get his armor back, I was kind of instantly like, oh, he doesn't know. He doesn't know them. And it kind of makes sense because if he was a Jango was a foundling, but he also didn't really stay with the Mandalorians for that long, I think, because then he went to go do the clone stuff. And then he died. So, and then Boba never went to the Mandalorians. He was always doing his bounty hunter thing. So I kind of feel like Din, especially, probably doesn't know who Jango or Boba are.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
what about you, Anna?
I thought the same. I don't think he knows. I feel like Din was a very secluded clan of the Death Watch, and whatever specifically how it worked, I'm not 100% sure. So I don't think he knew. I think he was one of those Mandos that was kind of brainwashed, and it's like, here's the story of Mandalorian, can then like, you know. So I just think he read the text, and because Mando is such a man of honor and history, he was just like, okay, you show me proof. That's
right.
it.
That armor belongs to you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
And I think he knew that Boba knew how to use it really well. And on top of like seeing it, and also he's a foundling, so he probably has like some sentimental like, all right, like I gotcha.
Yeah. He kind of connected with him. He says, "Your father was a foundling. Like we're not so different. You know, your father and me, or you and me, if you will."
Right.
But yeah, very cool. That was one of my favorite moments of the episode, and just more prequel connections. You know, I always love that. So,
and I love the like, no, this is like a life debt, giving me my armor back, and she's in my life debt, so we're gonna help you find this kid until we find him. We're helping you, and I was like, that's cool. I like this.
Yeah.
Assembling the team.
It's such a character development for Boba Fett because like obviously we don't know much about him. And then the little we got in Clone Wars was this annoying little kid that was just so mad all the time.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say earlier.
His dad, getting
Mace
killed.
Windu.
Yeah, the citizen. I hate Mace Windu. But so it showed like after. Even in that gap from him going to the Empire and afterwards, there's so much that he went through to know, so we know where he's at right now. So it was like a really nice touch to kind of understand Boba Fett's journey at this exact moment. So that was a really nice touch.
Yeah.
Another thing that kind of caught my attention is that he kept saying my father's armor. So which kind of doesn't line up 100% because in the Clone Wars and in those episodes that you guys were referring to, that like Boba's like trying to get revenge on Mace Windu.
Such an angsty little that kind of like made me dislike Boba more. So like I had the original trilogy where I was very unimpressed, and then I had this angsty little annoying brat, and I was like,
he makes you like, he's like that kid that will get on your nerves.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. Yeah, 100%.
So in that little arc, he uses Jango's helmet as like bait for Mace Windu to fall into their trap. So, and then in the trap is like an explosion. So, it makes me think like, okay, is this actually Jango's armor, or it's just like spiritually his armor? Like, this is my father's armor that he's like opened up for me to open up the way of Mandalore for me to use. So I'm still a little bit murky on that.
Well,
so what do you guys think?
The spear kind of proved that Beskar can withstand explosions.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And I was always under the impression that Boba's armor was repainted Jango armor. That's why they have the little thingy, and
Okay.
like it's the same face pattern, like not pattern like design, but like the visor.
Colors. Okay. Right.
So I was always under the impression that it was Boba used Django's armor.
Okay.
Yeah, same here. Like I think it was just the same. I know the episode you're referring to, and again, Boba Fett was just a little annoying, mad little kid that has so much PTSD.
Oh yeah.
So I think he at first was kind of like, well, I know I've learned that this can withhold anything, so I'm just gonna use it as bait. But I think it's still the same armor. It has the same, even the plate has the same. There's the little variations between Mandalore armor, but his is just like intact Django's armor.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess whatever in the show, this would retcon that, right? So, I guess it really is his armor, which is actually interesting because I think in that Legends origin story of Jaster, he actually painted it the color. So when Django first got his armor, um, it was a different color. It was actually the color of Boba's. And then some governor of some planet ends up taking the armor from Django, and then he's the one that actually ends up painting it like that blue that we see from Attack of the Clones. So it's actually kind of interesting. It just kind of ties in the whole Mandalorian and
Right.
Jaster and stuff like that. So, but but I guess like you guys are saying, this would retcon everything. So
Maybe the white and blue was also used in like Attack of the Clones to like fit with the clones a little bit, since he was
or
their
take away. For me, I've always thought that it was more like taking away from the clan,
like the loss of
like
identity.
Yeah, it looks like Beskar itself with just the blue, so it's like taking away whatever color from his clan it is, and it's just kind of like, I'm just doing this, That's what I've always thought.
Cool. So
yeah,
I think that's pretty much it. You guys got any final thoughts? Any final little tidbits on this episode?
Nope.
I'm
excited. Yes, me too. I'm excited to jump into the next one.
Yes, let's do it.
All right, guys. So if you haven't already, like the video, comment what your favorite part of the episode was. Did you like Boba's triumphant return to the Star Wars universe? Share the video and let us know what you think in the comments. So, as always, Anna, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram at LeGeekyLife with 2 eyes.
And Julie?
And how about you, Julie?
Infinity Jewels on Instagram and Twitch and pretty much everything except Twitter, where it's Infinity Jewels with an underscore.
All right, and you guys can find me on Instagram at Lex, LEX_Damas, ADAMES. I'm on Twitter as well, at LEX287. And don't forget to like the Roundtable Pod Racers channel. Subscribe for more videos. We are
check out our Facebook page.
Yeah, Facebook page and all that. And with that said, may the Force be with you.
And with you.